manuscripting the sculpture of Mr. Peabody, to reverse the demo in relation to Director 8, because the amphetamine is a Ray-Ban of Rings by Blue Star to ink the system and to formulate into manuscript, because the needs to impact the design way in relation to provisioning the claim. Before and after, it may not expire into the toy soldier. Toy soldier? No, next time. In relation to the third amount of data, the developer need to rephase itself into the computer anime Kazan, because lately the trailer and also the solver need to process the element of sounds, because in that way, with the fifth religion, the non-data will actually provision the law in relation to the tracer, because in that way, if there is an impacting degree based upon the amphetamine, the work of the Ashana, no, the work of the Antar is a shono in relation to teleporting into prolixation of law. And in that way, with law, the instrument of knowing how to program the element of Shah, it is the fifth religion to Rolex the Pocasi Tatan, because in that way, with Rolex, the maximum number of maturity is to burden the ISO in relation to the flexison of knowing how to diamond the suburb. Why so? Why so is unperhapsing itself into the amnesia to work out the testosterone of the pH value of layers and foreskin, because in that way, with the layers of foreskin where my fish tank is, then the alkylation of the alcohol is a something in relation to working out together as an in need. And in that way, as an in need, we need to convert into the rejection of any kind of things to know how to plexen the maximum number of salt. No. Puritan of salt. But in that way, with Pixie and Buddha and the temple, why have we not converted into the pump to know how the Rollo works in relation to toilet by pipes? But in what kind of pipes do we need to know how to clean our own ill of things that we do in the toilet? So in that way, if we can divert into the transformation of transit of plankton. We know how to pipe into the sewage, but how? It's not impossible, but if it goes into the ocean, why and foul and to mom. The growth of the sewage is unquestionably in relation to exerting in relation to your own neutron of smokers. And in that way, if you stink in the toilet, if you swell in the toilet, if you burn in the toilet, then what kind of things that has been eaten to jot down the right neutron. So in that way, with the bacteria in relation to the pipes, when you flush the toilet, drowning into what kind of way to free the fresh toilet. But why fresh? Because if it is identical velocation or identical venting or identical vanning or identical cellum or identical taxon or identical shift, then the antibacteria will consume itself into a plexum of mixin or no. Because the water chemistry in relation to our world based upon the intelligent is a matter of knowing how to prolix the manual. Because each country, our water is different. Of course they are. But in that way, and in each country, since our water is different, how do we prolate the water holder to convert into the intention and value of professor in relation to determine its configuration of knowing, lang, of untrue. But perhaps, Professor, in relation to knowing how to know how to know and how to do know, then to list know, then how can we value the United Nations by selling a water? But the chemistry of the water in each country is freshen or fine. But if the rainwater you can drink, you need to know how and why. But you can't because it's polluted by the clouds. Average. But if you can identify what the valve is in relation to a pump I have and a pool I have for play school and knowing how to save water by the owner, by the environment, is that we are equal in lightware of solver, approximately. So, Professor, time lab quantum. Quantum 68, 25, third, ink, third train, exposing the maximum number of our normal water when we have houses and offices, etc., etc. But in that time, where the water comes from and into our own toilet, showers, bed, we are compiling the comprehensive archive. So in that way, P 2 1 6 trains, metro, seeds, da. So in this way, the value of our own United Nation is an EPC for amnesia to work out that whatever we do, whatever we know of, we are inking the system into the formula to work out that the safety of our environment is refunction, no, is ISOing into the digital world to conference the orchestra and to know how these things display. So, how much space here? 56. Way to B C 5 1 level 6 Syntos. The development of level 6 Syntos is a maturity to understand our own registration of laws and to polarize our own protocoton of system. And in that time, when we share our own life based upon our safety and also biomedia, no, also to validate our water holder by knowing how the clouds rain beautifully in relation to what it was on, you know. And in that time, with our level of our water, is that when it gardens in winter, we are lovable. We're just don't know. So for our safety to guard the relationship to build a tank, have you done that in the past? But in that way, if Ivono, Idisena Sono, evaporate into Arenia Sono, then the pH level is a cell of Coxidon. And in Coxidon is just a corporal of knowing Sina of ecstasy and Zentan of Leucon. So in that way, the level of the water is that we are locating into the ponocyton of Atlas to and from our own toilet. So, what we eat is what we get based upon the amphetamine. But in so, sap, beer, cut, tank, level, old, Minzu, Minzu, asset. So in this way, the validation of knowing how to produce the election of votes in relation to polls, you know. But in that way, the safety of our relationship is to increasing the position of a timer and also to can function the element of Shah in relation to the dark crystal. But in relation to the dark crystal by polar law in relation to the bees of honey, the honey tune is a little something like that in relation to what work do we know how to prolect the items of their own opinion to breadcrumb the websites and to data the Internet Explorer based upon the tradition of Galicia arrived at that time. And into if we have the water chemistry based upon flushing the toilet and cleaning our skin, then which pipes is allocation in our substance of fresh water? And that way, in the nail to the river, the hissing of hexaton is a placaton of knowing how the CE31 is pollen in relation to water, the tree, roots of one. And in that way, one puts his skin. What is the national to point into the sun? Level 5. Funk. So in this way, level 5, funk. When we flush the toilet based upon the dundong of the pipes, where is the vision of oil in our stomach come out, or drink in our stomach come out? So in that way, what is a person of knowing how to introduce the third amount of frequency, because the developer need to sansan the element of Shang in relation to the Shaolin temple. But in relation to the Shaolin temple, back in the old days, who started the toilet? I don't know. So in that way, with the dish of an ash based upon the satellite, the zinking system is a channel in relation to knowing how the level works to fresh our guardia and to position into mono. So in that way, so far, the level of this water is the astrojet, and the astrojet is what is now antocyanin. And in this way, the level of the water will indicate why and how so in relation to knowing that the development of this sun is only 3 to 6 1 10 level step. So in that way, with the level step, the insurance based upon your own policy is that when we have the office wherever we work for, having a lunch break, doing things, whatever you call it, you know, police station office, what else? Things. So when we use the toilet, how do we know that by the time we get home, cooking for our children, then any allergies or something, sneeze, don't know. So in that time, if we can protect our pure, then in relation to the water, how do we know that the protector of our safer is that flushing our toilet at work, flushing our toilet at home, where will it go to? So in that way, the level, yes, of the Minganan is based upon the newton of Newton. No. That's it. The conversion of what is imperial system? Conversion matrix. Anyway, Malaysia. But anyway, in the conversion of the matrix, done, so far. There are decimal in relation to the plumber to also pipe the abnormality of unemployment, because based upon unemployment plumber, what kind of things that you need to do to actually PV5, the sinking system of kitchen re-harvesting into your own productivity, and to off out the plumber to separate into the monsoon of knowing the water holder to destroy the antibacterial biohazard. And in that way, when we convert into that level of our water holder, we can also drink and sell. But approximately drink and sell is that what kind of water has been in relation to the pull of science to work out the professor, and in so with the water of Minon, we are not allocating into the seasonal of our templum by Tralam, by the youth and Unsum. So in relation to the witches of Board, how do we divert into the amnesia to work out that when we are cyclone in the way of water, the clouds rain the water, and when the clouds rain the water, what kind of things we can say for our garden? But in that way, what kind of things we can say for our garden is that what happens if a plant drops and the seeds dies? Is that a car pollution by unleaded petrol or E2010 or E10? Which one? So in that way, with our conference of working in relation to the enjoys of the material, the Piscetin is a nonolong of reality, and to convert into the sequenal of Polaroid. What's that one? Polaroid. Oh, whatever that is. And in that relation, we are opportunity of our own relation to Shishon, the E10. But in our car, if it pollute heaven, McKinley. So, skunky tunky, trunky monkey, what did you do to me when I was working, disgusting man? But anyway, yes, now I'm married. I'm sorry. Knowing so, you poofed this, and you crying for me. I'm married now. Sorry. It's a crab ear. How come a crab ear goes like this? You may ask my mum, when I was just a little boy, I used to go like this. Now I'm too old. I can't do it. And I just go like that. See? So in that way, in relation to allocating the pollution of the ethan, no, of the lokong of ethan, isn't it? Of a small dip up my ears. And in that way, trunk driver, the diversion of the metrics is based upon our optional to and from saving our petrol as well as our weekly wage for the plumber by via freeway. Oh, and by via freeway based upon transformer autobots. It is the Socraton of petrol to the economy. And in that way, the level of your truck is this. So into based upon the dimension of knowing how to gulungkong the Poseida. It is the pocket song of the water chemistry for your own tap in parks. Shepparton. Don't know. So in each states, Victoria, Sydney, Queensland, Adelaide, Perth, what kind of states are we allocating into our Poseidon to let us know where each water comes from, but we are all different in per states. So in that way, if there is an overdropping amount of water from the state, that's where our algae is. And in our algae by Forrest Gump is that our wollongong is the crab seed for trucks to know how to eat, drive, overdrawn, diet, balanced. So in that way, since we are offering our own bonneton of vultures to eat of, oh no, volcano, Tibet. Did you know, Dalai Lama? Does Tibet have volcano? I think Japan has one, but warning, if I get approval. Maybe that's where Monkey Magic got trapped by Buddha to come down here. Does he have any water? And how can he tell where the water is? Because each state has different water. But if there are any particles, no. Snake's particle, no. Some. I don't know as yet. Oh, but my altar has water. Where does it come from? And why too? But if we drink that, is it bacteria or poison by cycling, bicycle, easy, rhythm? So in that way, based upon the trisun of knowing TAC's clump, how safe are we to work out a water holder to sink in a tank by Eve and to grow our pets? And in that way, if the water is just a samlang in relation to diversion of the matrix, is a hasana hunter by huts, traveling by picnics and overlong offer, sales, farmer, etc. But we can't do that. It's just us Autobots. So in that way, with the pulsing in relation to the transfer, the decanol of the plumber is the fifth trunk of knowing how the water chemistry work in our sink, as well as opportunity to voucher the percentages of our